Good morning, St. Louis. It is 7 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. So, yeah, I know what time it is. It is time for the St. Louis Hustle podcast with your boy, Cortez Hustle, and my girl, um, my girl, oh, there she is, my girl, Michelle. Hey, and we are coming to you live. And today we're talking about that
Woo!
other talk, ladies and gentlemen. Last week we talked about the talk that every black family has to have with their children. Now we're going to talk about that other talk that every family has to have with their children. So y'all make sure y'all do me a huge favor. Comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, because it's about to go down. So let's kick it this morning.
Growing up in St. Louis has never been easy, and most say if you want to succeed here, that you must leave and put down roots somewhere else because of the strong crabs in a barrel mentality here.
I don't know if I'm just an optimistic person, but to see people like Chuck Berry and Nelly make it in the music industry, or the Roberts brothers and Dave Stewart in business, or William Lacey Clay Jr. in politics, can we blame the city, or is it that people just aren't hungry enough?
We're talking to all of the movers and shakers in this town, from entertainers to politicians, social activists and organizers, and of course, entrepreneurs.
Is there a curse on this city that holds people back? Is there an unseen hand that decides who makes it and who doesn't? You're about to find out.
Welcome to St. Louis Hustle.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the St. Louis podcast. I'm your boy, Cortez. That's my girl, Michelle. Hey, and she's getting them lips together for y'all this morning because it's about to go down, right? We're talking about that other talk, and just to shout out our sponsor, we're coming to you live and direct from the Black Bear Success Mastermind Studios right here in St. Louis, Missouri. If you are building a business of any kind, or if you aspire to build a business of any kind, the Black Bear Success Mastermind is a great place for you to come and hang out. We literally give you hundreds of dollars of free tools, resources, training, education. It's a great place to network with other Black-owned businesses. All you got to do is text the keyword mastermind to 314-866-4053. Again, text the keyword mastermind to 314-866-4053. Today, we're talking about that other talk. Last week, we talked about the talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every Black family has to have the talk with their children, right? About police brutality, racism, how to conduct themselves in the midst of the police authority and all of that good stuff. Well, today, we're talking about that other talk that every family must have, no matter if you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, East Indian, don't matter. Everybody's got to have the sex talk with their children. So the question is, when's the best time to have that sex talk? We're going to get all the way into it today. But before we do that, Shelly,
let me tell you something. Man, my weekend was all right. The weekend was okay. My yesterday was pretty darn amazing. You know, I'm going to just skip the weekend. The weekend was like blah, blah, blah. Bad weather coming, blah, blah, blah. Bad weather was like psych. This is what happened. We were supposed to have bad weather in St. Louis. And so what happened was bad weather was like, you know what? I got to schedule a conflict. I'm supposed to be on the East Coast right now. So I'm going to send my little brother. So he sent his little brother down and we got like 2 inches of snow today. You know, people's tearing up the grocery stores and so some people know this, some people don't. A lot of times on the side, as a side hustle, I do Instacart, which is where I go and I shop for other people and deliver groceries, right? Mm-hmm. Actually, if you know me like you know me, you know I love people, so I kind of like it. I'm goofy like that. So I miss Schnucks, my last order of the day. And when I tell you, literally the line, you know the layout of most Schnucks is pretty much the same. You come in, you hit the produce, you go around by the bakery and buy the meats, and then you come around and whatever. Yeah. The line was from where the checkout was. There was a line that was wrapped all the way around the store back by the meats. So when you come in by the bakery, by produce bakery and meats is right there. I said, what's this line for? They was like, this is a checkout line. I said, oh, the devil is a lie. Somebody not getting their groceries tonight.
Look, I put some back. You come into the store and get in line. Like,
That's exactly what happened. What I kid you not, Schnitzel, Halls Ferry, and Lindbergh. When I tell you this person had only ordered like 8 items, and I'm in line, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm picking up their stuff, and was in line at the same time because I was at the back of the store, and I was like, oh, this is the line. As fast as I put stuff in the buggy, I said, well, let me put this back on the shelf. Somebody not getting their stuff today. Let me just. And then the lady on the app still going, can you pick up this? Can you add this to my order? Lady, I got some bad news. You know what's supposed to be I don't know what's gonna happen, but you're supposed to be I got out the line. It was pretty darn bad. And then for all of that for a psych move, it was like ta-da, nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was that. But yesterday, think out the face. Yesterday, more importantly, MLK Day, I attended the Martin Luther King celebration in Pine Lawn, and it was everything. It was everything, man. So shout out to all of the organizers that put that together. Brother Farrakhan Shagai, boy, that dude. Yeah. I was a little worried.
Right? He be
on it, boy. He was like, give it out to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I was like, whew. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, Farrakhan? Huh? But he was such a solid dude. And then Dion Jones, which is the older woman of Pine Lawn, shout out to her. It was a great event. It was my first time attending a rally of that magnitude. There was lots of dignitaries and politicians in the room. And I had an opportunity to hear Cori Bush speak live. And when I tell you that girl made me want to run for president, she got me rolling up my sleeves, want to just jump in waist deep. Like, who need help on their campaign? Who need help? I want to get involved. I want to do something. Man, it was a fantastic rally. Just shout out to the Mayor of Wellston I met. Shout out to Michael Kojo. He's with the African Diaspora Council. They sponsor food drives throughout the area of St. Louis to make sure people have food. Shout out to Mama Cat. I met Mama Cat first time. She makes a delicious hot apple cider. That's my homegirl there. She has her own organization, Pot Bangers. So she is downtown most often feeding and helping the people that are unhoused. So just shout out to everybody that I came in contact with yesterday. It was a great event, man.
Amazing.
Goodness.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. That's what's
What about
up.
you? What you do?
So my weekend was eventful. On Saturday, I told you guys about my son getting ready to play his first game. And, so he transferred schools. So in college athletics, if you transfer schools, then you will have to sit out a year. So he transferred schools, sat out a year. Well, he transferred to a school not to play ball. He transferred to a school because they had an engineering program and he wanted to go ahead and finish his engineering degree. I said, well, if you're there, you might as well see if you can walk on a team. So he walked on a team. But last semester, he dropped a class. So that put him down below the requirement for NCAA rules for him to be able to play, even though he had made the team. So we found a class, got him a class right before the end of last semester, passed it. So he had the extra credit that he needed. He's going to get ready to play. They were supposed to be playing UMSU here in St. Louis as his first game. We excited. Then the boy got COVID.
Womp womp. Womp womp.
He ended up being quarantined. But even with that, this new COVID is only a 5-day quarantine and not a 14-day quarantine, even though it's a worse strain than that's a whole other thing. We ain't gonna go there.
Oh no.
But he got cleared and then they canceled the game. They pushed the game back because of COVID. So long story short, he finally got to play his first game on Saturday. Right. Look at you trying to adjust your camera.
I was trying to give my camera a look close. I'm sorry. I was trying to do an incognito until I almost knocked the whole thing over. I'm so sorry. Yeah, my bad.
So
but he finally had a chance to play
his first game in almost 2 years. And
nice.
When I tell you we were excited, but I was nervous as a mug. Clearly more nervous than him because he went out there and showed out, Michelle. 18 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists.
That's so
and
cool.
They got the win, so it was amazing.
Awesome.
Got a chance to see another kid that I coached here in St. Louis. I think I coached Malik when he was in 3rd grade, and maybe I coached him in the 5th grade too. I know for a fact. Maybe it was 5th grade, not 3rd grade. Maybe it's 3rd grade. I don't know. But I coached him, and he played against the other team. So he played for Drury, and my son played
nice.
For Rockhurst, and I got a chance to see both of my guys go at it, and they both put up 18
Yeah.
points, right? So they had to
Nice.
guard each other. So, but Malik was
That
hurt,
had to be
man, and
nice.
I felt a little bad because we
Uh-huh.
jumped on him a little bit, and he was hurt.
Oh.
So I felt a little bad for my guy because he was out there. He was like, he was not trying to let Jihad win. He was like, no, no, it ain't going down. So that's kind of how the weekend was. And then Sunday, I had to drive down to Blytheville to pick up my mom. So I was in the car a lot this weekend, but I did get to see a game in between all of that driving. So that's how it went down. So yeah, that was the weekend. It was pretty fun for us. He's actually coming to town Thursday because they play Maryville. So we get to go see him play again this coming week. So super excited about that. So Michelle, it looks like you're frozen. So I don't know if we're going to Michelle a word of the day or what.
I was like, I don't know. I froze up a little bit. I said, I don't know if that's me or you or us. I don't know. So I'm gonna just sit here and just kind of rock it out like Color Purple. All right. Yeah.
Let's do the Michelle A word of the day.
And now the Michelle A word of the day.
Hey, good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's your girl, Michelle A, with the Michelle A word of the day. So, I just spoke a moment ago about attending the MLK Festival, and it really kind of stirred my heart, right? And so today's word of the day is all about community, right? It's all about loving your neighbor, yada, yada, yada. I talk a lot about love because I love love. Right? But the word of the day today really is community. How to get out there and get in it. And there's something special that happens when people come together in community. People actually start caring. When people come together in community, we get more things done as a group than we can as a solo. It's great to be an individual person. It's great to be an activist by yourself and get out there and want to change the world. But no man is an island. And what you think you can do by yourself, imagine what you can do with other people that join your cause, right? And I do believe the Bible. Now I'm about to jack up this scripture. Sorry, Lord. I do believe the Bible puts it a certain way that if one can set 1,000 flight, two can set 10,000 flight. Hope I got that right. But you get the gist of what I'm saying, right? So in community, get on we're all on the same page, hopefully. But when you join community events or you join in with your community to see what the needs are in your particular sector, and you come together, there's something magical that happens. There's a certain kind of love that happens. There's a brotherly love that takes place. And man, it just warms the cockles of my heart. Now, if you want your heart cockles warmed as well, find a place to get busy in your community. Right? Get with the older people or the older woman or older man in your community and find out what some of the needs are. Participate with a food drive. Hand out food or clothes to people who are unhoused. There's ways to get involved, people, but I'm telling you, take your mind off self and put it on someone else, and it really will. Not only will you make a difference in your community, but you kind of start making a difference in yourself. So again, that word for today is community. Get out there, be a part. That's your Michelle A word of the day. Boom.
Awesome. And today's word of the day is brought to you by our good friends over at Open Arms Wellness, Healing Mind and Body. If you have United Healthcare as your insurance provider, then they've got some great programs and plans for you. So make sure you go check them out at openarmswellness.com or give them a call at 314-329-4326. And make sure that you tell them that Cortez Hustle sent you. Again, that's our good friends over at Open Arms Wellness, Healing Mind and Body. They've got counselors for every situation, well-trained, and they can help you with all of your social, emotional, and mental health needs. OpenArmsWellness.com, 314-329-4326. Shelley, we're talking that other talk, right? Last week we talked about the talk that has to happen in Black families, but now we're talking about that other talk. So put in the comments, did you get the talk? talking about the birds and the bees talk, right? Because some people never got to talk. I don't think I ever got
Yeah.
to talk, right?
Right.
Did
Man.
you get to talk? And then if you have children, at what age did you give the talk, right?
Right.
Because we're going to talk about that today. So you want to kick us off, or you want me to get things started?
You know what? Two comments real quick before we get started about the talk. And I love how you specified the talk. And the talk was what we did last week, where we talk about racism, etc., in the Black community, how we prepare our kids to go out into the world. Which, dare I say, as an adult, I see the vision now. That talk, the talk, is more important than the talk. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to keep our kids alive so they get to be able to do the function of the other talk.
Yeah, right.
They can't do the other talk if we don't give them the talk.
Yeah.
So that's just the irony of that how once upon a time the birds and bees was that most pivotal discussion that we have with our kids, not in our community, not in our community.
Yeah,
totally blows my mind. Okay, I'll get us kicked off. When's the best time to start that? Right, as I researched this topic, there was lots of things that I found. Some people, dare I say, suggest starting this topic of discussion at the tender age of 2. How you talk to a 2-year-old about to talk? I have no clue, but I think they kind of meant you start talking to your kids about the body parts, etc., at a young age, which I get that. However, typically,
so real quick, Michelle says, nope, didn't get the talk, but did talk to my children about it, right? So, Michelle, what age did you start talking to your children about the talk, right? Go ahead, Michelle.
Oh, no, I was that for that Michelle or me, Michelle?
That Michelle. That Michelle.
Oh, okay, bye. No, that's cool. So typically, you should begin these conversations with your kids officially around the age of 11 or 12. Most importantly, your child should feel comfortable talking to you about what a healthy relation looks like. And you should feel comfortable talking to your child about what a healthy relation looks like, so that they feel empowered to handle any pressures they get to have sex before they are ready. I'm going to answer Michelle's question and encourage Michelle to answer the question. But you just said it. She said it. It was a thing. It had to be for our generation, right? Generation X. I didn't get to talk. My talk was keep your legs closed. You welcome. That was my talk. Don't bring no baby home. Yeah. That was my talk. That was it. That was it. So so my kids, of course, I chose to raise them differently than I was raised. I started having those conversations about they were kids. I had 2 girls. So with them, I had the discussion of what was the no-no zone, right? We talked about the no-no zone at bath time. And I said the no-no zone is a triangle. Right? No one touches your triangle or your stop sign.
Right.
So I made it because I did a lot of driving, taking the kids here and there. My kids went everywhere with me. And we'd look at the road signs and they were very inquisitive. What does that sign mean? What is that? So I made it relatable to them. That yield sign, a triangle, nobody touches that. When you get in bath time, maybe at the doctor, that's it. No one goes in that zone, you know. But then when they got 11 or 12, we did start having those discussions. It was hard. Now you had all boys. How did you handle that with boys?
Yeah, I think 11 and 12 might be too old, and or might be a little late in the game. And the reason I say that, and maybe it's just in my household, because I guess my kids was nosy. So I remember we stayed in a 2-family flat. We stayed upstairs, and we had a good friend and her daughter stayed downstairs. And my son had to be in 1st or 2nd grade, and him and one of her daughters were trying to do it, right? And so seriously, and it's like, what the hell?
Right. Oh boy.
What the hell are y'all doing? But when you think about the amount of sex-related subject matter that appears in all forms of media, you can't wait till 11, 12 years old, because they've already seen kissing. So that's, and that's where it starts, right? They're already exposed. So you really kind of got to start having it. And I'll tell you what my son told me. One of my sons, because he wasn't the only one that was trying stuff when he was way too young to be trying stuff, right? Where you see that at? You saw y'all. Wait, what?
We got so locking doors, sugar.
So before I go exposing Disney and some of these other places that they are seeing this stuff at, I had to look in the mirror. Wait, what do you mean you saw us? You see, we saw. So we try to do what we saw. So you got to be mindful of what your children are being exposed to, and then I don't think it's too early of a time to ever kind of explain away some of the things that they are being exposed to, like when they see little boys and little girls or men and women kissing on TV in their age of shows. You got to start talking to them about what that leads to and how your friends may have seen a whole another level of this, and they might want to take it somewhere. Man, you got to start talking to those babies when they are super early. I think 10 or 11 or 12. Shoot. And for me personally, because I was molested as a boy, so at 8 years old, I remember distinctly 3rd grade, right? With one of my cousins. Like, so if you waited till 11 or 12, that's too late. Because we're already experimenting and stuff. And in 2nd grade, meaning 7 years old, I was literally exposing myself in the classroom. Like, because I had learned this stuff through, predatory means, but I had learned it. So I'm thinking that everybody is learning this stuff and everybody is doing this stuff. And it, like, you got to really be vigilant around this topic because you never know, you don't really know what your children are exposed to, especially because the society that we live in, we got everybody running. And in this running, a lot of times the children have to be here, they have to be there, and this person has to be watching the children, and I've got to leave them over this person's house for an hour or two. You don't know what's going on for that hour or two.
True.
And I promise you, Michelle, I had a friend when I was in the 8th grade. So we're talking around 11, 12. So in the 8th grade, I was 13 years old. And we literally sat in that man's house with his mama and his mama's boyfriend, and we watched porn all day.
Yeah, that's heavy. Let me recant my statement. What the sources, and some doctors recommend officially that this is the birds and the bees. I will be honest, my kids were, and just some of the differences, my kids came up in a single parent household. And as much as I did try to shield them, if I had company, it was at night after they were in bed, they didn't meet company, et cetera, et cetera. However, I can remember a time where they, I can't remember a time. They were probably 2 and 4 years old, they were 2 and 4. And we moved into this house, and my neighbors, they weren't sheltered, but I kept my kids where if they were over, they weren't around their dads. Unfortunately, their dads weren't there. And when they were there, they always had clothes on. When they were around my dad always had a t-shirt on and pajama pants if they were around the house or whatever. And so my neighbor would come outside in the summertime with his shirt off, and he'd be barbecuing on his side. He had a side deck on the side of his house, and that deck faced their bedroom. And so my girls would get up in their window, 2 and 4, and talk to the neighbor. He'd be out there on his deck minding his own business, and they would get in the window and go, "Hi, neighbor." Hi. And he told, "Hey, girls, how you doing?" We were new to the neighborhood. He was being friendly. And so the one day this man came outside with no shirt on, they said, "Oh my God, the neighbor's naked. Oh my God. Oh, he ain't got no clothes on." He had pants on but no shirt. Right. They shamed that man so bad he went in the house, put a shirt on. And he was like,
He
said, I really wasn't naked. I just didn't have a shirt on. I said, they were 2 and 4. They've never seen a man with no top on, you know. But as they got a little bit older, they were Disney Channel kids. In my mind, I thought that was safe. They watched Disney Channel, all of that. But as the programming started to shift on Disney and they got a little older, you know, 7, 8 years old, they did see the kissing on Disney Channel. They did see some of that stuff, and some of that discussion, similar to what you said, kissing leads to other things. Yes, kissing is what a grown man and a grown woman should do when they're in love. You know, they're going to get married, etc. I tried to set those staples for them, but they did get exposed. I didn't have the full out carte blanche. I unfortunately, and this was not the right thing to do, but I'm gonna say it was what happened. Okay, pray for me. Don't talk about me. I said, kiss is how you get pregnant. I had to go brown. I had to do it like Mr. Brown. Don't be kissing and come up pregnant. That was the wrong thing to do. But once they got a little older to understand, you know, they knew, you know, I taught them their body parts. Little boys have different body parts, because you're right. They were going to their aunt's house. And this is what I didn't know, because you talked about being molested. My youngest was molested. She said as far back as she could remember, because she was going to my sister's house. My sister had 8 kids. My sister had 6 out of the 8 by the time my kids were here. Well, she had 4 out of the 8 by the time my kids were born. And then as they grew up with the other ones. But those older kids, there was some experimenting going on. And some of them was too old to be experimenting. Some of them was older where it wasn't experimental. That's molestation. If there's 5 years, 6 year gap between, and my daughter was 5, that's not experimental, you know. But she was doing what was done to her. Yeah. You know, and so it pays to have those discussions, but I think there's got to be a smarter way we go about it. It's got to be a smarter way.
Yep. So how to prepare for these conversations. You should prepare and be ready to answer questions that come up. The type of questions your child asks can give you a good idea about what they already know. And this is key. The following tips can help you get started. And that's key, to kind of understand what they already know. What have they already been exposed to? And here's what we got to do as parents, right? My pastor, when I was at Church on the Rock, Pastor David Blunt, he said, he quoted the findings of a Gallup poll. He said, there's 2 things that children hate more than anything else. And I'm going to give them to you here, and hopefully you guys write them down, especially those of you who are still raising children. But the first one, they still, even when your children are older, they still, you know, can wreak havoc. Number 1, they hate to be compared to other children. Number 1. And especially when you have children, it's easy to do. Why can't you be like your brother, or be like your sister, or be like the neighbor's kids? And that, so you got to be careful with that. But the second thing, right, they polled hundreds of thousands of kids and said the second thing that kids hate more than anything else is when they tell their parents something and their parents blow up.
Yep.
Right. So in this recognizance mission that we're on, asking them questions to kind of see what they know, we can't get out of our emotions when they say, oh, well, yeah, something about my pee-pee. Wait a minute, who taught you about pee-pee? And now you want to go all crazy on the pee, and you just set yourself up for them to never tell you nothing else ever again about sex or anything.
Hey, that's it.
So be careful that as you are having these conversations, we, the parents, got to stay emotionally grounded and level-headed and be like, man, this little joker is so green, thank the Lord. And then this other little joker is like, I got to check the mail and see if he got a Playboy subscription or something, because he knows way too much. What the heck is going on?
Right. You know what?
Getting all this information, right?
I was surprised like that too, because my kids knew more than I was like, I ain't teach y'all that. But you know what? I didn't know when I did, and I will agree, when I had the full out carte blanche sex, penis goes here discussion, I didn't know that my kids had already been getting this at school, and they started covering sex ed in like 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I'm not a parent and a millennial, because I wouldn't survive. I would not be able to take it. I would not be able to take it.
Yeah. So some of the things that you should be prepared for. Number one, know the anatomy. Learn the proper names for each body part. This applies to both the male and the female reproductive systems. And don't, you got cute names for them and all of that kind of stuff. But I think helping them know, okay, this is what we call it around here, but here's what this is what it actually is, right? I mean, it's cool to call it the triangle, but Michelle, this is what it is, and this is what God created it for.
I failed.
And this
I failed.
Right?
I failed.
Right.
I failed because they had, I don't know. I'm so glad that my kids, sometimes they tune in, sometimes they don't, but man, they would just die sideways if they knew I was about to tell this. They came up with these names because I didn't give them the proper name for breasts. They called the breasts, they thought they compared breasts to moose antlers for some reason as young kids. So breasts became mooses. And the private area, it was your tink tink. It was not a vagina. It was the tink tink and the boom boom. And and boys had dingling or pee, which hindsight. I could have taken some extra time to educate on the proper words, because I don't want to even imagine the first time they got down with the get down. I was like, oh, you can't put that dingling in my tink tink.
You want to put your dingling in my tink tink? No, that ain't no. My mama said I can't never touch a dingling, and you can't touch my tink tink. Stop it. Like,
God forbid the mooses. Anyway,
Michelle said tallywhackers. You trying to put your tallywhacker where?
Right. Where you going with that jiggling?
Wait, what is a tally? And why do I want to whack it?
Right, exactly. Right. Oh, that one almost took me out. Thanks, Michelle. Oh man. Okay. Number 2, be honest. Yeah. Clearly, I was not. Don't be afraid to admit to your child that you feel embarrassed talking about it too. This type of empathy might help your child to feel more comfortable and ask more questions. I think the key here is to get your child to engage. You don't want to, of course, give it to them at an adult level, but there is a way to give it to them without making up names. And there's lots of resources. Even back then, online wasn't as hot as it is now, but there still was online when my kids was young. I could have consulted some resources online to help me have those discussions without making up names. Dingy is another one. Where you going with that dingy? Okay. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue this conversation. We got to take a quick commercial break, but we're going to continue this conversation. Comment in the chat. Did you get the talk from your parents or the adults in your life? And did you give the talk to your children? And if you did, at what age did you give the talk? And finally, did they hear you? Did they listen? Did they adhere? Or did they go off the rail and do their own thing into way? So y'all make sure y'all keep it locked right here.
Hey, yo, listen, man, I don't know about you, but as a solopreneur, the last thing I can do is afford to miss a phone call that might lead to money. So when I found out that building my website and sales funnels on the Black Bear Success app included a dedicated phone number with Boomerang text back, that was the icing on the cake for me. That means anytime my phone rings, and if I'm on a webinar, if I'm doing a podcast, if I'm away from my phone and I miss the call, the system will automatically text that person back with a message from me asking, how can I help? So I no longer miss money, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I'm getting ready to do a photo shoot right now, so I'm going to be tied up. But if somebody's calling me about business, guess what? I'm going to get the message and I'm going to send them back a message that they can connect with me on blackbearsuccess.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the St. Louis Hustle Podcast, where we are talking about the talk, ladies and gentlemen. And today's show is brought to you by openarmswellness.com. Make sure you guys check them out, especially if you have United Healthcare Insurance and you want to talk to some certified, licensed, compassionate, empathetic counselors about your mental I don't even want to say issues, because sometimes it's not about being in pain or being mentally challenged as much as it is, hey, I want to stay well mentally. I don't have to wait until I have a problem to go talk to somebody.
That's it.
Like, no,
absolutely.
I'm in a good place and I want to stay in this place. So make sure you go check out openarmswellness.com. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking about the other talk, right? Last week we talked about the talk that every Black family has to have with their children about, you know, police brutality, racism, sending them out to the world, being twice as good to get half the respect, and all of those. And that's a talk that's a real talk that has to go down in our communities. But
has to.
The other talk goes down in every community. Everybody has to have a way to teach their children about sex. So we're giving you some things you want to maybe some keys and some tips. So number one, we talked about know the anatomy. Teach the kids the body parts, right? Just like you teach them their arm and the leg, and when they're infants, you teach them their nose, their ears, their eyes, and mouth. Teach them everything, right? Be honest with them. And number four, relate. Tell stories about your own experiences growing up, right? Ooh. Now, this could be scary for some of y'all. Hosts. This could be scary for some of y'all.
Right.
But just be careful. Maybe
please be
find
careful.
the G-rated version. But there are things like there's nothing like being relatable and saying, hey, your mom ain't always had it together. Your pa ain't always had it together. Yeah. Here's what my thought process was. Then this is why I can look back and see that thought process wasn't the best, didn't serve me the best, led me to go down this path. I see you in a similar lane, and let's kind of recalibrate your thought process around this area, and let's see if we can come up with something together. So don't be afraid to be relatable, people.
No Freaknik stories. Don't be talking about, oh, we were the Freaknik 95 and boy was up. We don't want those stories. Don't relate that way.
Yeah. That could get a little dangerous, right? But yeah, be relatable to your children. Children sometimes will see their parents as superheroes. And sometimes as parents, we give them the 2022 version of us as if the 1988 version didn't exist, as if the 1992 version didn't exist, as if the 1996 version didn't exist.
Okay.
And I think you can harm your children that way.
Absolutely.
Especially when, because as they say, everything done in the dark will come to the light, especially when they discover the 1993 version of you when you were at the Freaknik, and that old friend from high school comes and talks about what your nickname was in high school and how you got that nickname. Right.
Right. Sometimes it could just be how I get here. Be like, oh Lord, don't ask. Well, let me tell you about Freaknik. That's how you got here. Sorry. I mean, you got to be honest and relatable. Totally that. The next one, address appearances. Right. Bring up acne, mood changes, growth spurts, and hormonal changes, and how these things can happen at different times for different kids and how they are totally normal. Puberty. Oh my God. Puberty was like, I don't know what it's like for you having boys, but for me having girls, my girls were polar opposites. You know, when you're dealing with girls, you got the whole period thing and emotions. And again, it was me and my girls the majority of the time. So that was a whole lot of estrogen running rampant in the household. And there's a whole lot of stuff going on. My older girl didn't start her period. She was pretty much normal. She started her period at 13 years old, whatever. We had time to talk about it and all that. My baby girl started her period right when she turned 9. Dang. And that was very tricky. She started her period before her sister. And so it was tricky because she's 9 years old. She already... You know, she was starting to develop. So she was a third grade. She just started, because her birthday's in the fall. So she just started 3rd grade. And she, she's already, wearing a bra, one of the first kids in her class to wear a bra. And then now she's got a period and she's trying to understand it. Hell, I was trying to understand it because I didn't start till I was 13, 14. And I was just like, Dad, this is early. Like, why is it so early? And it just was tough terrain to navigate because there's more emphasis on hygiene. There's these things happening. And she was 9. And I had to try to explain to a 9-year-old all of that. She knew about it, but not to the degree that she had pushed her in the water, like, she had to really learn it.
Right. You're in it now.
Right. Yeah. Swim.
That's tough. Yeah. I can imagine that from a father's perspective. So yeah, ours is different as boys. Like, my wife couldn't understand, and why they felt it was okay to go days without a shower. Right? It's like,
I don't get that.
Like, we don't care nothing about that, Michelle. Until like so the change for boys is when that natural attraction to the opposite sex happens. Right now, I got a reason to want to shower, right? But we remember all of them when they went from, I don't care, when the last time you showered? I took one the other day, my dang. To now we start to see, oh, this joker showering every day. He must like somebody, right? So that's the transformation that happens in boys. When boys start looking, and you don't have to tell them to take a bath, it's like, okay, so now you're starting to think about, okay, you must like somebody. So if you liking somebody, then I know that you're starting to experience the sensation being around, right? Don't wear the gray sweatpants to school, son. Now, at this point, it's a whole different thing. Like, you can't wear sweatpants no more because now you be in front of the classroom at attention and you be in trouble. Right?
Is that right?
Yeah, but that's how we knew. So guys don't get a period, right? They get, I something in me changed that I feel my personal appearance got to be on point because now I have this attraction. And I think that's a good time to start realizing, okay, now that you're starting to check for women, somebody must have said you cute or something. Now all of a sudden you feel it. Now we know that they're going to start having those experiences and other areas, and it's a good time to have those conversations.
I'm finna mess up your whole theology on that. I'm finna mess with it. What happens with a grown man? I'd say 21, 22. Now I'm assuming what that process you just described happens somewhere around 17, 16, 17, hopefully. What happened?
About 13, 14, they start paying attention.
Oh my God. Somebody's like, why is it, Lord? Okay, I'm gonna just put it out there. Sorry, Lord. My daughter's baby daddy, this Negro was 21 years old and he had to be told to go take a shower. My daughter will be like, she will not let him hold the baby if he stinks. Well, she said, what? You can't, no.
But that's the other thing now. So once you get somebody, and I tease my wife about this all the time, I got you now. So I can go back to being where I was, where I don't care too much about. And then I always tell her that I said it was. You thought you was attracted to my cologne, right? I was an obsession guy, right? But you were really attracted to my natural musk. So I'm just trying to make sure that I keep that natural smell on as much as possible. So I keep you, Shika. Like, no, that smell is gonna run me away from around here. It's
tomfoolery is what that is. That I can't even let you get that all the way out. All it says is at one point in time, my daughter and another woman was fighting over this little boy. And I said, how y'all fight over a musty Negro? I'll never know. Who have y'all smelled this nigga? Why are we fighting over somebody that smells like that? And he wear dirty socks. Whole nother thing. Okay. Yes, your turn. Your turn.
Right, so we got 5 more points. I'm gonna bang these out and then we'll get into those 5 points.
Gotcha.
So
open your ears,
people. Listen actively and keep eye contact. Don't ask too many questions and keep it general if you do, because you're probing, right? You don't want to give them anything. You want them to start going down that rabbit hole. So again, you can learn what they know. And then based on what they say and how they say it, sometimes you can also discern where they learned it, right? My brother has a certain term for his stuff. So if I knew that they were saying this certain term, then you only learn that from your uncle. And I'm gonna kill that Negro when I catch him, right? So you can kind of pick up where they are. You know what? That sounds like something your auntie would say. Yeah, I'm gonna ask her about that, right? Yeah. So listen actively. Be nice, right? Never tease, blame, or belittle your child's ideas or feelings. We have this bad in our community where sarcasm is like that's our thing, right? But now that we know as adults how we've always been taught sticks and stones, break your bones, words never hurt, biggest lie, biggest myth, biggest reason that a lot of us are in therapy today, right? Because of something somebody said to us or how they said it to us at pivotal times in our lives, and it scarred us, and it still programmed us to act and behave certain ways. So be careful about teasing, blaming, or belittling your children based on how they feel. Well, I thought babies came from the store. Well, okay, let's have a conversation about that. This ain't the time to tease them about that. So be careful with that. Be respectful. Choose a quiet, private area to talk. Respect their desires to only talk to mom or dad about certain subjects, right? This is one of those things where to this day, my sons and I have meetings and their mom is not invited, right? Because I think just there's certain things that we should talk to or talk about that I don't want her influence on, right? There's certain things that we collectively decided that we agree that our boys should know this, and this is how we should bring it to them and teach and bring it to them. But then there's certain things that I believe that when I bring my boys together, I should be able to talk to them in a certain way about certain things without the feminine energy. And sometimes what she likes to do in a good mother's fashion is she is always in nurture and protection mode, because that's mom.
Absolutely.
Sometimes those jokers don't need no protection. They need hardcore truth without, but let me soften it up a little bit. No, ain't no soft way to say this. You need a job. And if you don't get one, you got to get on away from around here. Right. So it ain't no soft way to say something, right? So don't be
talk to it with a suitcase. Here's your suitcase. You need a knapsack on a stick. Take care.
And then last one, offer resources. Create a list of websites and books that offer information about sexuality that you think are accurate. Just be careful, because now you're giving them permission to go on the internet, and we know that the internet has a lot of stuff.
Careful,
right?
Parental
locks.
Now
you got 5 reasons to talk to your children about the talk. Michelle, I'm gonna let you jump on the first 2, and then I'm gonna be right back.
Perfect. Okay, so these are additional reasons to have that talk with your kids. The first one is body positivity. Talking to your children about their bodies openly and honestly shares a message that there is nothing about their bodies to be ashamed of. Your children will more than likely be happy with the body they have instead of what they don't. So having that discussion is really key. We mentioned prior explaining the body parts, but this is more of the overall of this is your body, and this is your body that God gave you, and this is nothing to be ashamed of. You should be happy with your body, etc. Help set a good body positivity image for your child so that they don't grow up hiding and covering. We don't want to be out there shimmying, but we want them to have a positive reflection about their bodies. Next, I'm gonna go very gently with this, because this is real new, and I'm gonna go gently. Healthy gender identification. Okay. Oh, heaven Jesus. Gender is different from sex. Sex is something assigned at birth, whereas gender is something based more on how we feel. Sex education. Right. I had to get a look like. Sex education includes conversations about gender, so children can grow up understanding who they are and being okay with it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very thin line with that. It's very, very thin line, and I'm just going to be prejudiced and say it how I say it because these are my opinions, and you know they're going to differ. Excuse me, they're going to differ. See, woo, help me, Lord. They're going to differ from what the mainstream may be. Sex is okay. Gender is different from sex, and I think that is a newer thing, maybe from the 90s and the millennial. You are born the sex that you are. I think as of late, society, and I definitely will say this is a society thing, says that you could be born one way and identify another. And I just personally believe, and don't get me wrong, I have friends that are transgender, I have friends that are in the LBGT in the community. I love
plus.
Thank you. LBGQ plus. There it is.
Gotta get the Q and the plus.
Right, because I get lost after the Q, but in the plus. And I have friends that are in that community. I love them, and I love them where they are. I just, and each of them know I can love you and think differently about some of those things. And from that respect, my belief is that you're born the sex that you are. I think it's a choice. God gives everybody a freedom of choice how to live our lives. He doesn't. That's a wonderful thing about God is he don't micromanage. I'm gonna tell you what it should be, and I'm gonna let you do what you feel like you're gonna do. You know, kind of be careful with that. But you're born how you're born. It's a choice to identify as something different. But you're born a man, you're a man. You're born a woman, you're a woman. And I believe it is a personal choice. So that is something where I say it's a thin line with teaching children. I believe, and this is my last little point because I know we got to get to the last two. My personal belief is teach them they're born as sex. You're a boy, you're a girl. When they get of age, 18 plus, if they choose to identify as something else, then they are, according to the Bible, I've done my job. I've raised you. And now you are your own person. You are accountable for self. And if you choose to, if you're born a man and you choose to identify as a woman, that's when you're in the good Lord. If you are a woman, born a woman, and you choose to identify as a man, that's when you're in the good Lord. But I think that teaching children that, planting that seed, you can be whatever you want to be, regardless of that plants the seed. There's so much confusion at an age where their brain is still developing and they're trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
That's just that.
This is where I disagree with you.
Okay.
We don't disagree often, but
right.
I think, and I was going to bring this up later, and we're just going to scrap that last two because it's going to take 6 minutes.
Okay.
Because I think we are in a lot of the places that we are in today across society as a whole because of a lot of traditionalism, right?
Okay.
There's a lot of things that we do and don't do simply because of tradition, right? And you think about, for a long time, a woman would stay in an abusive relationship because tradition said we don't get divorced. This man going upside your head once a week. But tradition say, hey, we don't get divorced in this family. We stick it out, or that kind of stuff. So we have this whole thing. Now, I am a little bit leery about how much we bring to the attention that all of these other options exist on one hand.
Right.
On the other hand, though, if someone is feeling like they are a man trapped in a woman's body or a woman trapped in a man's body, and we are in a sense saying you gotta live with wrestling with that until you're 18, and then you decide to go ahead and do your thing, right? And I know because of at a certain age, it's like, wait a minute, they might be too young to make that decision, right? But here's where I think nature kind of comes in. at what age did you realize that you had a strong attraction to the opposite sex? Right? You don't have to answer that publicly, but I want you to answer that in your own mind. At what age did you realize, like, girls are that deal for me? Right? So I at a young age, there's this chemical attraction that makes me feel tingly inside when I'm around a girl I like. That's something that I had no choice over. But if you are of a certain age and you have that same situation happening with same sex, who is society to tell you to deny that until a certain age, right? That's kind of where I'm kind of lost in it at, like, that's because if you think about it, that same way that you feel towards the opposite sex, people who are homosexual feel that same thing towards the same sex. So do we deny them young love? Like, remember when you had that first crush? Like, and how that changed you? Do we deny someone who is feeling that same way for the opposite, for the same sex, that experience, and we pretty much shame them until they are strong enough to just come out and say who they are, right?
Okay, that's I have been wanting to, and I got a couple friends that I want to bring in on the conversation. I want us to do a show because it's been a show I've been wanting to do on it for a number of years. And here's the thing, I must say, I have friends in the community and I love them. My discussion, in my opinion, is based in relation to children. And you're right, I'm not a gay or lesbian or homosexual or whatever. And so maybe I don't identify directly. I do want to address from a standpoint of, I have family members that are, and good friends that are. So again, I love them. I think from a standpoint of, like, just based on some of what you were saying, you know, yes, I understand that first feeling of puppy love and that first inclination of, like, wow, that little boy, you know, Johnny Johnson in second grade, walked me home from school, dropped my books, and he picked up my book. I was like, he picked up my book. I thought that meant we was gonna get married, because Johnny Johnson not only did. Now, keep in mind, he lived 3 doors down from me, so he had to kind of walk. We just walked home together, but in my mind, he walked me home. And because he picked up my book, in my mind, we went together. Whole nother story. But I also know that, you know, yes, the mind does things at a young age, but it does things at a young age. And we know that sometimes, I'm not saying denying, and I want to step out here and say, and I know this is not the implication, but I want to say it just for the record, even if my child did go through, and they're gonna be like, Mom, putting our business out there. I'm not saying that we're
gonna put a pin in it till next week, because we gotta go.
Oh,
so we're gonna have this conversation next week, ladies and gentlemen, because it's 8 o'clock. So we gotta go, man. Till we talk to y'all next time. Get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. More importantly, you deserve to do it. Each and everything one of you.